So many industries were surprised, I think, as many of us were, when the president announced that we're going down to level one. I think some of us were halfway through a reality TV show or ready to go to bed or still having dinner. And suddenly we heard that the president announced we've gone down to level one. Initially, I thought it was some sort of, thing that happens on Twitter where someone says something and then it goes viral, but it's true. And so many industries suddenly had to rick themselves back into gear, much like they did when we went up a level, as that also often happens and often immediate. And one industry I think that's been most affected by all this lockdown going up or going down is the liquor industry. And there's a new campaign that's kicking off now in March. It's called #WeChoose. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Zizwe Vundla. She's the marketing director for Diageo South Africa. Zizwe, great to have you on this call.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Zizwe, let's talk about this #WeChoose. It's got a little bit of a byline to it. So it's #WeChoose to trade responsibly and #WeChoose to drink responsibly. What's the thinking behind this campaign?
That's it. So just stepping back a bit, you would know that, I mean, you alluded to it when you started off by saying, I think one of the hardest hit industries during all of this was alcohol. So if you look at the alcohol industry, almost 1 million jobs across the entire industry, and a lot of people, a lot of businesses affected, especially the on-trade premises affected a lot. By on-trade premises, I mean bars, restaurants, and taverns, right? So what the WeChoose campaign is about enabling these establishments to start business again responsibly. So enabling them to trade responsibly. What we're doing is we're injecting stock, so giving them stock. A lot of these companies, establishments, during this time were shut down, wouldn't have enough money to even buy the stock. So there's this stock injection. We help them with marketing support. We give them bar training as well, just to allow them to start up again, and obviously employ them hundreds of people who lost, thousands of people who lost their jobs, and just jumpstart the industry again, which is so important.
And is this across the board? So is this from your sort of local tavern right up to maybe one of your 5-star hotels or more premium venues as well? Or is this sort of a very specific part of the liquor trade?
Oh, no, it's across the board. So everyone was affected, right? So it was everyone, it was across the board, everyone from your taverns and your mainstream to, I guess, your more posh outlets, if you want to call it that. So in this first wave of our support, we're supporting establishments in Cape Town, Joburg, and Durban. This is just the first phase. We do see it extending. And what we did, during the whole lockdown, we were engaging with these outlets. We saw the outlets that were suffering, and those are the ones we've engaged with to help them with the stock replenishments and all of that.
Well, I mean, the drink responsibly line we've had going for quite some time. I think it's also been a bit of a self-regulatory thing by the industry to, make sure that you have consumers that consume your goods as best possible. And there's very little responsibility you can do, or very little responsibility you can take for your consumers. This byline of trading responsibly, I'm assuming, plays into the stories of people serving red and white wine in teacups and, sort of backdoor sales going on during lockdown. Is that kind of the general gist of that trade responsibly?
Yeah, and I think it's broader than that. I think what I will say as well is that we very much support the government. So when the government, puts these restrictions on place, we feel that everyone needs to adhere to them. So I think that's the first thing I would say, right? And then in terms of trading responsibly, it's again about ensuring that one, if I think about the context of COVID, right? How do we ensure that when when you have people in your outlet, it's not crowded. You're following COVID protocols, whether it's sanitize or whether it's, making sure people are socially distanced. And then in terms of actual consumption, making sure that, making the trader realize that if you trade responsibly, we're going to get back into the same situation we were in December. So it actually helps no one, right? So it's important that they're playing their role in ensuring that they do the right thing in terms of complying to regulations when it comes to trading. It's super important.
I mean, as the marketing director of Diageo, the biggest spirits brand owner in the world. I mean, you've got some remarkable brands in there, Johnny Walker, and some iconic adverts that have gone with it. I mean, it's one of those jobs that you would just sort of sink your teeth into if you're in marketing or branding, and you get to do such cool adverts, activations. Now, I'm guessing the last year hasn't been much about that. And how is that going to change now going forward for you? I mean, at what point do you get to, put two well-known actors on a ship in the middle of the Mediterranean and have a gentleman's wager on a Johnny Walker Blue Label?
So, okay, so firstly, yes, I'm incredibly privileged to work on the brands that I do. I don't think it gets better than working on brands like Johnny Walker, Tanqueray, Smirnoff. So I totally with you on that. Amazing brands. In terms of how I'll see marketing has changed, I think, at the heart of it, um, the consumer comes first. So engaging with the consumer in a way that resonates with them is super important. We will continue to do that. I think it's the how that maybe is tweaked slightly, just because the context of what we're dealing with has changed. You referenced the two gentlemen making a wager in the middle of the ocean. That's an interesting example you used, because in my mind, when I think of Johnny Walker, I actually think about two women enjoying a Johnny Walker, right? So it's just that sort of context. Like, so those are the things that as a marketer I need to be cognizant of, just to make sure that my marketing remains relevant. And is really tapping into the now and maybe actually the future, right? Because I think that's actually what's so fun about it. So that's the one part. But at the same time, I don't take lightly the fact that I need to ensure that my consumers are enjoying my drink responsibly. So that's always something at the top of my mind. So yes, I'm going to make sure that people love my brands, people want to engage in my brands, but I want them to do it responsibly. And it's always been top of mind, but I think just based on where we are now as a country, as a world, it's heightened. So, and I know even within my team, we're so hypersensitive about the role we play in ensuring that we don't have underage drinking, people are not drinking and driving. There's so much, so that's also top of mind. So it's a nice balance.
Well, I will take your comment, and any lady who has taken offense to my two gentlemen sitting in the Mediterranean on a boat having a wager are more than welcome to join me for a wee dram of whiskey at their earliest convenience, socially distanced, but I've got a good whiskey collection, so they're more than welcome to join me for a swig. On that note, on that note, it'd be interesting to hear, how long is this campaign going to run for? Is this sort of for the rest of the year, this hashtag we choose, or is this for a burst of time? Because I mean, there's also talk of a potential third wave coming around, which might come with its new sets of restrictions again.
Yeah. So no, it's not a burst. So I think this it's for the foreseeable future, because to your point, COVID is not going anywhere. I think the impacts are going to be with us for a while. If you think about how hard hit this industry was, it's not something we can fix in 3 months, 6 months even, right? So I think what's important to understand is that this needs to become the norm. Trading responsibly needs to become the norm. Consuming responsibly needs to become the norm. So in my mind, this is ongoing. As I said, even when I spoke about the phasing and the fact that we're in 3 cities now, there's an opportunity for geographical expansion as well, right? So definitely not a burst, and something we're totally invested in. We've already put about 200 million rand in this, and that's just the beginning.
Would you say that this 200 million rand is now replacing your more traditional marketing and advertising that you would normally be doing, or is this over and above the usual campaigns that you would be running as the different brands would?
I would say it's a mix of both. I think on one part, we need to ensure that our ongoing brand activities factor this in more than they have been, right? So as I said, you mentioned it as well, the self-regulation and all, but I think there's an element that we can dial up, and we've definitely done that. On top of that, just because of the special circumstances that the lockdown brought, and the fact that we actually have to, uplift these establishments out of this situation, there's definitely a huge investment, incremental investment that we put in place for on-trade establishments that wasn't in place a year ago. And that's going to continue, this huge incremental spend specifically in the on-trade.
Well, Zizwe Vundla, Marketing Director of Diageo South Africa, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. And I wish you all the best with this campaign. And yeah, strength to you and the industry as you sit through another year of uncertainty and the unknown. But hopefully sooner rather than later, we will be back to what we know. I think everyone enjoys, like I say, a whiskey or a cocktail at their favorite spot responsibly. And yeah, I think it'll be a very welcome day when that day arrives. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.